Like how my
Yeah.
and stuff
What
is
I was
happening.
gonna. Oh, you know what? You should also get that bed music. Whoever has that music under, it really makes a difference.
Throughout the show.
Yeah. Just I don't
We
know who
made
has
it.
that track though.
I think I might actually hold on. I
Because
think it's in there.
the first couple of them had the music in there.
I know I liked it too, and then I've had people say don't do it, and
Oh,
I'm
really?
like, no, I really kind of. But it's which part of it is like it? It's just kind of like a bing bong bong.
Yeah, it's real way in the background. It's just adds a little something to where when people are thinking,
Mm-hmm.
there's a little bit of something going
Yeah,
on.
there's not that air.
Yeah.
I know. I agree. Well, we'll find something.
Yeah.
We'll
Or
figure
if you have
something.
if you have something else.
Right. We'll figure something else out. So I don't know. Let's see. Let me see if we have it. What a crazy week, man. It has just been nuts. And
You
we
went to Michigan and back.
I did. We traveled, went and saw everyone, and it was really funny. I don't know if you guys know, probably not, but I have a brother who's special, and he's okay. He kind of lives on his own and stuff like that, but he's not the easiest guy to get a hold of in the world. And texting him or trying to call him, he's got like 5-10 different kind of like, I swear to God, I think he thinks he's a CIA agent. He like has all these burn phones for no reason. And I'm like,
maybe he's a drug dealer.
He's getting ready for when the shit hits the fan. That's all.
I don't know, but he's just
burners.
Get my burners ready.
Yeah. Like 10 phones. And one of the things that we wanted to do to help him out was we got him a phone so that he would always have just one phone. I mean, basically it's for me because I know I can then text him. He'll get the text. I know that I can call him on that phone. There's no, minutes on it or anything like that. It's like, pulling him out of the 80s a little bit and bringing him into like the 95s kind of a thing. Not trying to stress him out. But anyway, so we go to my friend's house and we bounce like literally from the west side of the state of Michigan over to the east side of the state of Michigan. And we're like, okay, we got everything done. Didn't hear from my brother. Jump back to the west side of Michigan to spend the rest of the weekend or whatever with my my friend who is the matron of honor in our wedding. And I get a call. Hey, where are you? And I'm like 2.5 hours away. Where are you? And he's like, oh, I kind of want to see you. Shit. I'm like, okay, well, we'll just go ahead and come on back and add 4.5 hours to our trip. That's cool.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so it was Sunday. Because it was Sunday, we were actually going to leave, fairly decent, try to get home around like 1 or 2. And we didn't get home until like 8,
Where in Michigan?
We went to Grand Ledge, which is on the west side.
Oh, okay.
We also went to Rochester, which is on the east side. That's where I'm from.
Oh, okay.
So, but my brother lives even farther, like a little bit more east than that. So I had to like go get him, pick him up. He's like, so, hey, can you take me to the record store? Like, you have to understand, he's really kind of fun. He's a special guy. He's not autistic or anything like that, but actually he had an injury when he was like 2 and he lost oxygen to his brain and he actually just kind of stopped growing at age like 13. Like there was just like nothing more that matured from him.
I know lots of people like that and they did not have an injury.
I know.
They're just
some of them are pretty damn close to me and my family. I know, but this guy, so what happened is like back in the day, this is like a quick story, but back in the day, so this is why I listen to heavy metal. My brother, he was 13 years old and he would drive me to my baseball games on the handlebars, the front handlebars of his bike. And one day he was taking me to the field, and as we got to the field, he hit something, and I went flying over the handlebars, and I ended up like spraining my wrist, right? And I'm sitting there crying and everything like that. He's totally like not even paying. He's like, I don't give a shit what's happening to her right now. I hit something. I want to know what I hit. So he gets off his bike and he goes and he looks and he picks it up and he kind of dusts it off, and it's a tape of Twisted Sister. And it was, we're not going to take it or whatever. So he picks it up, dusts it off, puts it in his pocket, and he's like, I'll pick you up in a couple hours. And he comes back and
free tape, man.
Right? Now that's like gold. I mean, that's like finding an iPhone these days, So it was like, this is like expensive stuff back then. So he started listening to it, and he's got a little bit of this obsessive behavior. And it was really funny because we both kind of don't like my dad at all. And my dad immediately hated the music. So my brother's like, oh, I gotta listen to more of this shit. And then that was it. And then he just listened to heavy metal music, and it just encompassed all of his life. And that's why I know really weird facts about Merciful Fate and King Diamond. That's
And that's why I've always done drugs, so that my kids will rebel against me and not do drugs.
Oh, it's true. It's true. Okay, let me see. Let's see if I can find this. Lazy Caribou, which is who we are.
So you listen to metal to rebel against your dad.
Not me. My brother.
Does that mean
did.
Reagan is going to like listen to the Carpenters to rebel against you?
Don't even talk like that. It's just weird.
I'm back.
Let me see.
I don't know what happened.
Where'd you go?
Well, everything froze.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's not good.
and I don't know why.
Everything looks pretty good. You look good.
Okay.
Phil, say something.
Something.
Okay,
Can
good.
you hear me
Pulls
okay?
up- Yep, pulls up your camera just fine. You got the mic right in your face, or you got it away from your face, Phil?
It's a little bit off to the side.
Okay.
Do I sound distant?
Yeah, you're all right.
It's a little choppy on my end now, and I don't know. We had cable issues yesterday, but everything else is working. Why? I don't see Phil's screen.
No?
You don't? It could be you. Because let me see what. Why don't I just pull it up and just find out?
I see all three.
Yeah, I'm not having any issues on this side.
This is weird.
It is weird.
Let me hold on.
Do you need to reset your router? Maybe? That sounds painful. Whatever's happening over there. Let me look at the control room.
Okay, I restarted the browser.
Okay.
Seems to be better.
Sometimes it is the browser being a jerk face.
What are you using, Imran?
Chrome. I got the thing running in Chrome right now.
Yeah, I use Chrome too, and sometimes for no reason it just is an uncooperative asshole. And
I'm still having those stupid issues with the Facebook. Hey, Imran, go to your Jack and Nerd page. See if it looks different to you.
Wait, on our Facebook page?
Yeah, do your own like I'm not part of that, so I'm just curious like what yours looks like, because like I don't know how to post something right now.
Did they change Facebook on us or just out of nowhere? They probably did.
I don't even know. But I don't know.
I'm having trouble pulling up the page. I might be having.
No, we were having trouble on Facebook too.
Yeah, Facebook.
Oh, it's not pulling up.
Yeah, it's just being. It's like it's not coming up all the way.
Mine is just it's a white page and it's spinning. It's not even connecting.
Yeah, that's probably about right. Something's going on. It's being a jerk.
See, this is when you put your lives in the hands of third-party things that you don't control, like Google Hangouts, like Facebook.
Right.
You can't. That you're screwed because what are you gonna do?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah. You complain.
Nothing. You're gonna be fucked.
Dear Mark Zuckerberg, your website sucks.
Oh my god. Oh shit.
Oh, yeah. You guys are a little bit robot-y. Why is it doing that? Ooh, I really like my drawing now. I gotta do it in ink.
We'll stop doing it
Sorry.
until we start doing this thing. Shoot, I don't know. I mean, you seem okay.
Man.
We're just robot-y to you, though.
Yeah. I don't have anything else open. Quit everything else.
I mean, I have sketch comedy. I even have a couple of things. So let me see if there's anything. I don't think it would affect on my side if I had shown, but let me see if I'm using resources that I shouldn't be using. Why is this open? Close that.
I mean, the only thing I can think of doing is rebooting the whole computer at this point.
You might need to.
Okay.
I'm okay. I mean, we're okay.
Okay.
We can hang out and do absolutely nothing.
I will be right back then.
Okay. Maybe we'll get a viewer or two and they can keep us company.
Yeah, drum up some traffic. I'll be right back.
I'm working on it.
Okay.
Yeah, come on.
Well, how do
We
you drum up
Facebook's down.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I'm like, how the fuck do you want me to do that? Fucking Facebook? Yeah, that's not going to work. I love how I'm always like to the left. And it's just like, if you could see my setup, you'd totally understand. Like, my computer is in the corner of my desk. So I have all the rest of this desk. Like, I don't have it sitting in the middle because it's like.
I always see you turn to the side when you're talking or
this,
like reading something.
like doing this, doing like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all good. Ow, I just broke something.
That's why we don't have nice things.
I know. Well, I think at least I've got the sketching stuff done, that is a big deal. And then next is to fix Brokebot and to get these episodes out. So I have a lot of work to do in the next couple of days, and that's what I'm trying to do.
Are the Brokebot episodes ready to go out?
The one went out today.
Did it?
Yeah.
Brokebot. I'm thinking of sketching. Yeah.
Brokebot's fine. Sketching is like we're piling them up, which is fine because the thing is, what's nice about this show a little bit, it's like at least we're going live, which is cool. But since I couldn't really figure it out yet until literally this show, right? So now I can go back and add in the sounds properly and cut them a little bit better. You know what I mean? So like everything can be a little bit more cohesive. Yeah. Because that was part of the problem where I was like, oh, I'll use this sound. Well, I'll use this sound. I'm like, I don't know what the hell's this sound. Boop, Jock and Nerd Head. I'm like, whatever, you know. I'm like, we're just doing this thing and whatever. So now it's a little bit more controlled chaos, but still chaos, which is what I planned for the show. But you know, it's been 4 weeks of trying to figure it out, which I think is cool. Like when you do that. So now that I've got this information down, all I got to do is go back and kind of cut it in and figure out how to do all that. And then I learned like the simplest thing called trunicating silence. And it was like the best thing ever. Because you ever notice like when I would play wah, 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 for like a second, you would hear like a
Yeah, like a really high-pitched kind of...
Well, there's nothing you can usually do about that if you're just trying to like filter it out. But if you silence it and you keep the same amount of time there, what you do is you just kind of like cut that space and you just say silence this area, but you keep the amount of space so it doesn't like blow your ear out. It doesn't just come out, wah, 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 wah. It still gives you a second, like a beat. It'll be like one. But you've silenced, you've completely muted this whole area. And it's seriously one click of a button. And I'm like, all right, well, that worked out.
That was easy.
I'm like, why didn't you just tell me it was this easy? God damn it.
Why don't you tell me how to do these things in the beginning?
Some of these things, though, are not easy. And like Reagan really tested me when I was doing Trivia Geeks because she and actually what I really, really enjoyed, and I'm so glad that I did that one, was Reagan is basically me, but it's not me, right? So I could hear myself in a different way for the first time. And I realized that I need to probably tone it down a little bit, maybe not get in. So, you know what I'm saying? Like it actually helped me. So you know, a little bit more like how I am on BrokeBot, and, you know, to be able to hear my voice a little bit clearer and, you know, get more up into the mic. So just redoing that and seeing her, you know, seeing how she did a couple of things, I'm like, must thinky in the future.
You got some pointers from your kid.
Yeah, on accident, you know, like, well, since I have to, and, you know, that's the other thing too, is like seeing a couple of these things that we got to fix, you know, for Trivia Geeks moving forward too, you know, like changing up some of the sounds and things like that too. We're going to have to do that. So it's all good in the
Look at you learning to be a producer.
No, I got to learn to be a business owner. That's what this week one was about too. That was a lot. Ugh. Almost.
Yeah, you can do all that.
Yeah, I know. Like, seriously, almost like, I'm like, I'm like, I got an idea. Let's get married and have a wedding. I'm like, I'd be like this big time business owner. Let's have Reagan have surgery. Anything else? Does anybody want to throw in anything else this year? Like,
if you could take care of a few car payments for me, I'd really appreciate it.
Oh my God. And then we went and just had the oil change, and I'm like, you need 4 new tires. I'm like, you need to fuck yourself.
Yeah.
It's pretty much how I feel. I'm like, I got from here to there. Okay, we're good. I don't think they're well.
It's like when whenever I'm way overdue for an oil change, Chris would be like, it's right up the road, just take it. And I'm like, I'm afraid to take it in there because every time I do, it's like, oh yeah, this part fell off, you know. It's like my transmission, you know what I mean? Like, it always turns. It's like
your engine is about to completely blow up.
It turns into a $900 oil change that I'm just like, I don't want to deal with it today.
I know. It's so dumb, but I'm the same way. I'm like, I'm not going unless you make me do this. I'm like, it's just not going to happen.
I'm going to ignore it until my car stalls out in the middle of the fucking US 41 bridge.
Did you know most clicks can be avoided if you just turn the radio up loud enough?
That's right, yeah.
Click, click. I don't know. Must have been on NPR.
Where's my King Diamond CD?
Oh God, I hope I don't get heavy metal shit. I hate heavy metal. I hate it. I can't handle it. And my brother just absolutely loves it, and it just so funny. I was telling this story this weekend. I don't even know if I would ever want to tell it like live.
Be careful, we're alive right now.
I know, that's why I don't want to say it, but it was pretty rough. It was my first experience, and that was just it was the roughest thing that you could ever imagine for like a poor young, you know, 16-year-old girl that's never been to a concert ever, and she goes,
yeah, she'd never been out, yeah.
And Merciful Fate. That's why I always refer back to them, because that was the one that traumatized me.
That was your baptism by fire kind of thing.
Like, well, okay then. I'm good to go to concerts then. Seriously. Bye. I don't need to go.
Yeah.
Well, I hope Imran's stuff is okay. This works out. Good thing we don't have Trivia Geeks, and it's not too late on your end tonight, so that works out good. Right. I'm gonna keep checking Facebook because
did James go with you this weekend?
Oh yeah he did.
Yeah, last I heard, he just wasn't. He had come home sick that day, and I didn't know.
Yeah,
I was telling Christy, I'm like, Jesus Christ, James is sick again. Like, that dude cannot shake this thing.
Well, and what we thought of, and maybe you and I were the ones that were talking about, is the fact that he's never really been around like a kid full time in 20 years.
Yeah, that's a whole new thing too. Yeah,
I think I have like all these immunities. So I mean, he really
you totally do.
Yeah, like I have all these immunities from Reagan that she brings home all the time, and I think that's why it didn't hit me as hard. Like when he got sick and was sick for like 5 weeks or whatever the heck that was, I was sick for like 3 days, you know, and so I kept waiting for it though, because I'm like, he's so sick. How am I not getting this sick? I'm like, apparently I have Iron Man blood, because I'm like, something's going on.
Invincible.
I am invincible. And that was the whole thing. Like they both got really sick. And I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I wasn't feeling well here and there, but nothing. Like I did not get like 5 days sick. Like that did not happen. So I just kind of assumed, That's probably what's going on. Is he just doesn't have the immunity and the antibodies that has built up over the years. You know, I've had 16 years with her. It makes sense, her bringing all that crap home. And
all
then,
the stuff she brings home from school. And
right.
yeah.
And then it makes even more sense because Reagan and I moved to a new town. So her antibodies with new kids are going to be a little bit different because the allergens are different here. So she's going to get a little bit sick. She's going to bring that home. And then since he's just apparently a whiteboard ready for any germ to be thrown at him, he's like, pew, pew, pew.
No, totally.
So he usually gets like a sinus headache and things like that during like allergy season and stuff like that, but nothing like he's been. So what was funny is my friend, we were at the hotel and we called, you know, I texted her and I said, hey, I forgot to ask, do you have any cats? She's like, I have 2 and 2 dogs. I'm like, awesome. And James was at the Walgreens and I'm like, pick up some meds because you know I'm going to be dead if you don't, because I'm allergic to cats. So we get there. He's fine. He's like, by this time, his cold is pretty much subsided. He's doing pretty good. He's not allergic to cats. There's no problem. He's not allergic to dogs or anything. And then he sees the other cat and he goes, oh shit, is that a long hair?
Oh, snap.
And so all of a sudden he just like his nose is running. He's like, and I'm like, here, take some of my, you know, my loratadine, my Claritin stuff. He's like, it's not gonna work. I'll take it anyway, but it's not gonna work. It was so funny. So he was like, I'm like, you can't get away from it. Poor guy.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, it really does. I was just like, oh no, you're going to be sick. It's just how it's going to be. Sorry. Oh boy. Let's see. Anything going on here? Oh, Facebook still sucks.
Yeah, when we first sent our boys to daycare, we were sick for like a week, like all of us, because they had never been around that many other kids, and they just, so we weren't like built up. We had no immunity. Right. The only kids we were around were ours, and then it's like, holy shit, they brought so much crap home. We were just miserable.
And you know what the worst part of all of that is? I was with her. Is I was single mom. There is no hope. There's like nobody's gonna come over to a sick house and help you when you're sick like that, you know. And I'm like, there was a couple of times there that I was like in dire straits, and I'm just like, I would literally just like open the refrigerator and just throw food down. I'm like, somebody gonna eat that. I was so sick. I mean, it was horrible. It was horrible. Let's see, Brett. Are you sure you don't want to skip it? We've got. So I'll leave it. Okay. So Brett broke up with a girl a week and a half ago, and then he's going to.
Yeah, I was wondering about that too, because he was telling me, he's like, "Oh yeah, my lady and I just whatever." Right. And then I see these pictures of him in like New Orleans. I'm like, "All right then." Like, look, man, I was
21 once. I'm like, I don't give a shit.
That was
4 days is enough time to grieve. Let's go.
Hey, either that or it's the same girl. I don't know. My wife and I went back and forth so many times. I mean, that's totally something that we would have been like, no, screw you. I'll never see you again. And then like 4 days later, we'd be on a trip somewhere. You know, like, so yeah. No, I don't know, man.
Sorry, you're my Obi-Wan. You're my only hope. So
yeah,
keep sticking with you.
You're my bad penny.
I didn't really do that. Like, once I broke it off, I was done.
Hi, sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
Hey, he's back.
Well, you know what? There was like a Comcast problem outage the other day, and then I thought they fixed it. I rebooted the modem and the router and every goddamn thing.
How do you think it's doing
now? It's better.
Okay, cool.
Let's get this going while I can still squeeze some juice out of this goddamn.
Yeah. All right.
Technology.
Let's swing this dick. Okay, I'm starting. Let me get some volumes on you guys. Phil, can you talk for a sec?
I can talk for a sec, but only a quick sec.
Okay. How about you, Imran?
Oh, you know me. I can't talk for just 1 second. What are you asking? Way too much.
All right, cool. 1 second. All right, you guys are going to have to fill in all the information on this because we did this for Phil today. So you got it. It's no big deal. All right. I am starting this up, and I'm going to be quiet for a couple of seconds. Make sure you guys go ahead and shut down your mics for a second. And we'll get started in 3, 2.
You are listening to a Blazing Caribou Studios production.
Welcome back. We are the most dysfunctional collection of art supplies, alcohol, and smack talking the internet has to offer. This is Sketching Comedy, and I'm your host, Carrie Sims, along with the guys on the drawing boards that you can see right now, live on your screen, Mr. Imran Javed and Mr. Phil Rude. What we do here is talk about art and artists while we crack jokes, sketch out what we talk about, and see where we end up by the end of the show. Will it be a train wreck of a conversation that results in great sketches, or a great conversation that results in sketches of train wrecks? Who knows, but we soon shall see. So, hey, welcome back, Imran. How are you? Got a little bit of problem there with your internet, but it looks like it kind of leveled out.
Technology. The future is wonderful. No, we're doing a lot better. And you know what? I'm ready to talk art and doodle, and I'm really psyched about what I got going here right now.
Awesome.
And I love you guys forcing me to draw every week. It's the only time I get to draw.
I know it's a cool concept, and what for me, you guys are forced to draw, but for me, I'm forced to kind of learn something that I've always wanted to, which is I never had the ability to get geeky into comics. I wanted to, but every person I was around was either an athlete or they were into music or other things, and I just was really never exposed to it. So it was kind of one of those silent things about me that I was like, can somebody show me? Because I'm really, I like to draw and I do all these things, but nobody ever did. So this is you guys kind of giving back to me, and I really appreciate it. So the other half of the beauty order here is Phil Rude. Phil, how are you doing this evening?
Oh, the beauty order. I'm doing a lot better now, and I got a compliment. You know how to make me blush, Carrie.
You're the pretty half of the beauties.
Haha, take that, Imran.
Take that, Imran. Next week you can be the pretty one.
Well, I'm the belle of the ball this week. I'm doing good, Carrie.
Good. I'm glad. I kind of missed you. So
you too. You ran away to Michigan and left us all by ourselves here.
I did, because the smart thing to do is when the weather's really bad is to go north. So
go north. Yeah. You run away from all the bad weather when you go north.
Yeah. It was ridiculous. And actually, the first day of driving, I was just sitting there like, oh no. I'm like, here it comes. There was
what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah, exactly. There was snow, there was hail, there was sleet, there was slush. I was like, I just don't want to even be doing this. And I was hoping it would kind of let up, and it did by Sunday, because as usual, Michigan is one of those bipolar states where it's like one day it's snowing and the next day it's bone dry.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had an interesting travel trip there. So, but I'm back and I'm safe and everything's good. So tonight we are going to discuss, thank you for suggesting this, Phil. We're going to talk about Bernie Wrightson. And basically, Bernie passed away over the weekend. And so rest in peace, sir. But we're going to learn a little bit about him and kind of pay homage to him today. He got his professional start in 1968 in House of Mystery, number 179. Wrightson's huge body of work includes illustrations for an adaptation of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, the co-creation of Swamp Thing in 1971, and collaborations with horror writer Stephen King, among many other artistic achievements. And according to his obituary, Wrightson spent 7 years drawing approximately 50 detailed pen and ink illustrations for the Frankenstein project, something Wrightson felt was among his personal work. Beyond Comics writes into concept art for films such as Ghostbusters, Galaxy Quest, and
Yes.
Spider-Man. So here's a little homage to Mr. Wrightson.
You are amazing. You fight everything nasty. Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing, Earth really needs you. Arcane is bad for sure. Come on, fight for right. We need you. Swamp Thing. You are amazing. Oh, Swamp Thing.
That is awesome.
Wow, I've never heard that before. That goes right up there with the Spider-Man theme song from the 60s now for me. It's amazing.
It was
That
the
is actually
opening-
Bernie Wrightson singing that.
Is it really?
No, it's not. I'm just fucking around.
That's actually from the Swamp Thing, the series back in, what was it, 80s when that came out on TV?
80s, 90s USA Network. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
that's it.
it was very weird that they had a Swamp Thing show because I remember I'm like, what is this? Why is there a Swamp Thing show on USA? And while it was cheesy and horrible, I did watch it because it was comic books. I was like, oh, this is a
USA
comic
is
book.
one of those, like, melting pots. It's like, just trying to see if it works. If not, we've got
USA
lots.
is the weirdest channel.
And yeah.
Absolutely.
And now they have like Mr. Robot's probably one of the best things on TV, and I was surprised that it was on USA with all the swearing and I was like, wow, what is this USA? It's grown up.
I know, exactly. So, Phil, you had kind of mentioned a little bit of stuff about him with Ghostbusters. And I want to see if I can figure out a way to share some of that. But go ahead and talk about what Bernie did.
Oh, I just I stumbled on this today. I had no idea he did concept art for Ghostbusters. And
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
I was just sort of Google searching his work and found this article. I have it here from bloodydisgusting.com. It's an article from March 20th, just a couple days ago, and it details some of his concept art from Ghostbusters, and it is badass. It's incredible.
Did that screen share for me? Did that work?
Nope.
No.
Oh.
But yeah,
wait,
he's got
give me a second.
monsters.
How about now? Did it work
Yes, yeah, I see
Yeah,
it.
there you go.
There we go. So we got some monsters.
Right.
Cool.
There it is. So you got the librarian ghost.
Mhm.
He did designs for her, and the some designs. It doesn't look like his designs got used for those weird dog.
The gargoyle things. Yeah, that's a
Yeah, look
different,
at
that is a different design.
But-
oh, look
but
at that
I-
last one. What was that monster? That
This
thing.
here,
Yeah, totally.
these are great. I know. I'm like,
I look at those and I wonder if they weren't used because of cost. Because of a budget.
Probably.
Like if you like, this is his path to hell.
This is all
He has-
for
he has
Ghostbusters.
gates to hell.
Wow.
Yeah, and
Wow.
it's just like
yeah, look.
I
this-
wonder if they
this
looked at
makes
that and said,
sense.
Yeah.
too
like how are we going to do
expensive.
it? How are we going to put this together? But this
And I
is
mean, he was
amazing.
known for, an amazing horror artist. Some of it may even have been like too grotesque for what they were going for, because the movie is clearly like
Mhm.
a fun movie. And like, this is
That's
like
true too. Yeah.
very scary stuff. Like they were probably like, these are great, Bernie, but you went a little bit overboard. We're not trying
Right.
to scare people.
Yeah, he
Those are
does
great.
have some gory, cool stuff. Oh, look at this one.
Oh, look at that creature with the skull.
Look at his webbing on the bones of his hands.
Yeah. Master horror artist. And you mentioned that Frankenstein book. That is his that's some of the best of his work. Definitely pick it up. It's there's such detailed illustrations in this book.
Yeah, oh, did we lose him?
Imran, you there?
Positive space.
We lost.
That's okay. He's back. And he's back, ladies and
Okay,
gentlemen.
I'm back.
He's back.
Sorry.
Hey!
Technology issues. My Comcast blows. You hear that, Comcast? Get together.
Oh, they know. You don't even have to tell them. They know.
And they don't care
Okay.
because there's like nobody else providing service for the
Yeah.
mob.
Who else are you gonna go to, Imran? That's what they're saying right now.
They're like the mob. They're such the mob.
Oh my God, you're right. Because there's Comcast, or you're literally using 2 stones and a stick to try to dial up on your phone. It's just not
That's
gonna
called the monopoly, people.
Yeah, it's all good. Well, let's get a little bit into the news and just talk a little bit about Bernie himself.
Extra, extra, read all about it. Me and that playboy in trouble again. Extra, 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 read all about it.
So on this show, we talk about a bunch of different types of comic and illustrators. And today we're going to talk about why he was an actual comic book legend. Now, of course, I've never heard of any of these people, maybe 1 or 2. I'm not going to, be totally ridiculous. But I mean, I love digging into the artwork and the history and stories behind these guys. So the comic book industry suffered a huge blow this past weekend with the tragic passing of Bernie Wrightson, easily one of the most talented artists ever to work in the medium. Wrightson left behind a very impressive body of work spanning many decades. Sadly, because Wrightson wasn't as active in recent years, not all comic readers may be aware of his talents and his influence. To honor the late legendary artist, we're going to just have a little discussion here and just talk about him retrospectively, from things from Swamp Thing back to Frankenstein and Batman. After a long battle with brain cancer, which is really sad, comic legend Bernie Wrightson has passed away at 68. His co-created Swamp Thing, as we've been discussing, and his iconic style and line work made him a legend. Artist Jim Lee called Wrightson's work unparalleled in its style and technique. A post on Wrightson's website from his wife Liz broke the sad news and saying that we thank you all for the years of love and support, followed into his obituary. So yeah, kind of sad. I don't like it when these people die, and then I feel really bad because I'm like, I don't know anything about them. So
especially what I read was in January he had retired from comics because he had affected his left hand, and I don't know what side he drew with, but as an artist, I'm lefty. Like you lose your vision or you lose the use of your limbs. Like that's devastating to even think about.
Right. Oh God, I can't even. I think I've said it before. Like you can take everything from me, just don't take my mind or. Well, maybe my mouth either. It's like, how am I going to communicate? But yeah, that would be kind of rough. But so he did Swamp Thing, obviously, which is a little bit more amazing looking than I pictured in my head for some reason. Because originally, when I was like looking through a bunch of these, I was thinking like, I'm not going to lie. I totally went to Scooby-Doo thoughts of like, just the green guy coming out of the swamp. So which one of you, and whoever starts first is fine, give me the synopsis behind what is Swamp Thing and like what's the story behind it.
He is a truly tragic character.
Okay.
It was Dr. Alec Holland was a human, and he became the mythology of it is awesome. There's these avatars of different parts of the world. The green Swamp Thing is the avatar of the green. And Alec Holland, he makes a deal with the trees or the green to become the avatar. There's also the red, which is the animal world. There's avatar. There's the rot, and then there's like the gray, which is decay. So all these natural forces in the world have these avatars, and Swamp Thing can basically communicate with all plant life all around the world and kind of get absorbed and pop up anywhere. But it's always been a lot of ecological stories, saving the planet. Phil, have you read any Swamp Thing?
Swamp Thing, I was going to say, is a huge blind spot for me in my reading because I know Alan Moore had a big run on that.
Yeah.
I know it's one of these things that a ton of really influential people have worked on, and I keep meaning to track down what are the really important runs to track down and read, because it's one of those characters it sounds very intriguing. It sounds very tragic, and it looks super cool no matter who's drawing him.
Yeah.
It is a big blind spot. And now that we're talking about news, he's been all over Facebook for a couple of days, and it's one of those things that's sort of spurring me to go, okay, like no time like the present to run over and find some Swamp Thing and pick it up and get more involved in his work.
Well, even still with
Bernie Wrightson as a whole, because I don't read a lot of horror comics, he is sort of like he is almost a blind spot to me. I know his work just from sort of looking it up online. And some of the Stephen King, The Cycle of the Werewolf, I read like 20 years ago. Yep. And remember his artwork from that. But he is one of those things, those Frankenstein drawings I looked up.
They're amazing. And, how awesome are they?
Oh my God. Yeah. I think the thing that sets him apart from so many comic illustrators is how much of a technical illustrator he was.
Yep. Yep.
He has a pen and ink, like a real fine nib style.
Yeah.
What he gets with those Frankenstein drawings, you talk about 7 years for 50 drawings. It would take me 7 years to do one of those drawings.
Yeah, you see the work.
Detail in it. It's insane. So
I didn't realize it. That's what we did when you guys were talking about, when you mentioned to look this guy up, and I was like, Frankenstein. Wait a minute. I'm like, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I'm like, is that what they're talking about? And I'm like, wait a minute. So I did looked it up too, and I'm like, these are amazing drawings. These are drawings that I do know, and it's really, I always find it really interesting, like when there's something you've been living with like all your life and you just don't know like who created it or who did it. I don't know, for whatever reason. I just didn't realize that this is who it is, but his work is absolutely amazing, and it's stellar because it's like, to me, it's really refined for horror. And now if I'm gonna I don't like horror movies, but I really enjoy horror illustrations. I think they're amazing because they don't scare me because they're not real.
right.
A movie to me gets me a little bit more involved, and so it actually does kind of freak me out. Sounds of the lamp, but my issues there. But
I know.
But like a good example is like Creepshow.
Creepshow, yeah.
Yeah,
right. Creepshow, exactly. Yeah,
I dig it. I'm like, it's kind of fun. It has a little funniness to it, but it's also got that gore to it as well. So
horror comics have a long history and lots of cult fans, and they've never really gotten mainstream, which is why I think a lot of people don't know the majority of Bernie's work. I first got introduced to him in 1986. I was 12 years old, and I just started reading comics, and there was a new Spider-Man graphic novel out called Hooky. And on the cover, it was very strange. It was unlike any Spider-Man story because it was Spider-Man fighting these crazy, like, fleshy monsters. And I'm like, what is this? And it was oversized, nice, full color, nice paper. And it's this amazing story of Spider-Man going into a parallel dimension and fighting these monsters. And you see a Spider-Man drawn by Bernie Wrightson, and in Bernie Wrightson's, like, monster world, and the dichotomy of the clean, colorful Spider-Man against these fleshy monsters with eyes and teeth was just so cool. It was unlike any Spider-Man story, and I'll always remember that as being my first influence. Yeah,
that sounds really crazy. Because you're right, Spider-Man is always very simple. I mean, aside from the webbing on his costume, he's a very simple character design. Yeah. And to put him against Wrightson's monster designs, I mean, that had to look.
And he kept Spider-Man simple and colorful, and it popped off against these crazy, sinewy, fleshy monster drawings.
It's easy for that to fail.
Yes,
but you know what I mean? Like, that sounds really cool. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back, and we'll get a little bit more digging into Bernie.
Hi there, this is Brett Stewart from the Jukebox Podcast. Are you a huge fan of music, or perhaps you'd like to expand your sonic horizons? Well, I am here to help. Every month, the Jukebox digs deep into the finest of the world's independent music. From folk to blues to hip-hop, rock and roll, jazz, spoken word, experimental, even classical. We spend time with it all. Plus, I bring industry professionals and fellow fans on Jukebox roundtables every month to discuss the latest news and topics in the industry. Join me at jukeboxpodcast.com and on all major podcatchers.
Catch your spirit and ride.
It's kind of sketchy. Don't know all this stuff about Bernie. Some of us know, some of us don't know. So let's try to fill it in blanks if we can. So Mr. Wrightson was born in Dunlap, Maryland. A cute little story that I found on a side note. His name is spelled Bernie, and it's Wrightson, Wrightson. He actually, for a short period of time, started just signing autographs and signing his work as Bernie with just an I and dropped the E, because there was a Olympic swim. I almost said a swimologist.
A swimologist.
A swimologist.
Swimology. Wasn't that a Paula
Doctor
Abdul
of
song?
Swimology.
Yeah.
I have a PhD in swimming.
There you go. Anyway, but a U.S. Olympic swimmer named Bernie Wrightson at the same time, and he didn't want to get confused and have people confuse who he was versus this other guy. And I'm thinking to myself, that's a pretty big difference. You probably didn't have to drop the E, dude. It's probably okay,
I can relate though, because my actual name is Mark Spitz, and I had to change it. He's a swimmer, right? Did I nail that? I can't remember.
Yeah, good job.
I got it.
Oh, God. Well, anyway, he received his training from watching John Nagy on television, reading comics, particularly those of EC, as well through a correspondence course from a famous artist school. That's interesting. He did a correspondence.
Those things are scams. I did that when I was a kid, and then
wasn't it like a turtle or something?
Yeah,
Did you draw the pirate? Yeah.
No, I drew it. I submitted it. The dude showed up at my house.
I think I had a bear, like the Berenstein Bears or something.
And he wanted like $2,000, and we were like, "Go screw yourself."
In his early and lasting artistic influence were Frank Frazetta and Graham Ingalls from Tales from the Crypt. So there you go. That makes sense.
A lot of Frazetta. Yeah, you see a lot of the Frazetta.
Yeah. And you know what? And what's so cool about this show is right when I see a name like that, I Google schmoogle it. I go, who's this guy?
Frazetta is the master.
Right. And then I write it down, and then I'm like, guess what we're doing a show on soon, because now I love this guy, so it works out. So he published a piece of fan art containing a headstone bearing the inscription Bernie Wrightson, and this was the whole thing I was talking about. He published it with an I on December 15th, 1965, on page 33 of Warren Publishing's Creepy #9, cover dated June 1966. That's kind of creepy to do that for yourself. In 66, he began working for the Baltimore Sun newspaper as an illustrator. The following year, after meeting artist Frank Frazetta at a comic book convention in New York City, he was inspired to produce his own stories. In 1968, he showed copies of his sequential art to DC Comics editor Dick Giordano.
Dick Giordano, yeah.
Giordano, yeah.
Okay. And was given a freelance assignment. Wrightson began spelling his name Bernie, like I was telling you, and because of the Olympic diver, which cracks me up. Let's see, what else is some fun stuff? In 68, he drew his first professional comic book story, The Man Who Murdered Himself. I love the name of these stories.
Also known as suicide.
I was going to say, like, how do you murder yourself? I'm like, you go to jail for that or what? I'm like, you kill yourself. That's suicide. Okay. It appeared in House Mystery number 179. He continued to work on a variety of mystery and anthology titles for both DC and a few years later, its principal rival, Marvel Comics. I swear to God, have all these guys that we're going to talk about either done DC or Marvel? All of them?
The old guys, usually started at one or the other, and then eventually they would go across the street and work for the other one. I mean, even Jack Kirby, who was Marvel, basically built Marvel. Right. Eventually went and worked at DC. Like, I think
Kirby might be a 2-part show when we do.
Look, a gig is a gig. Don't matter where you are, as long as you're going, whoever.
Yeah, they were all going where the money was, and whoever, if they got big enough, it was sort of like whoever would let them do what they wanted to. I think played into a lot of it too. So
And EC Comics is going to come up a lot when you're going through these, but for these older guys, because they had the best page rate back in the day. Marvel and DC paid shit, but EC would always pay their artists well. So, you know, if we talk about Wally Wood or Harvey Kurtzman or any of these guys, like they all kind of came through EC Comics.
Well, I mean,
we should do an EC show on its own just to talk about the history of horror comics in America is interesting. So it's really
on the list.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, put it on the list for sure. Well, I like this little story. Since we've been talking about the fact that, you know, Swamp Thing was like his baby and everything like that, with writer Len Wrightson co-created the Swamp Thing, and what had happened is Wine later recounted how Wrightson became involved with the story. And Bernie Wrightson had just broken up with his girlfriend, and we were sitting in my car just talking about life, all the important things to do when you're 19 and 20 years old. And he kind of laughed and he said, you know, I just wrote a story that actually kind of feels like the way you feel right now. I told him about Swamp Thing, and he said, I got to draw that. So it's kind of neat that, you know, he's like this young kid, and, you know, he's got this story of, you know, maybe like heartache and those types of things. So that's where Swamp Thing comes from.
That's awesome because Alec Holland and like he had a love interest that once he became Swamp Thing, he really there was a lot of heartache in these stories, and it's just his grief, his heartache come true in his character. That's awesome. I did not know that.
Wouldn't it be funny though if you read that story and then you go, oh, I'm gonna go read the first Swamp Thing issue, and it's just Swamp Thing throwing his ex-girlfriend off a cliff. It's like 1,000 deaths of his ex-girlfriend.
He's just going in the swamp, and he's taking all her clothes and throwing them outside of the swamp.
This guy was working through some shit on this one, yeah.
Well, I would think, don't most people with their art? I mean, don't you guys?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
I mean, I know I do. Like, if I'm angry or something like that, I'll just kind of get lost in my work and just kind of like stick my head down, be a little bit creative, and I come out of it and I'm like, I'm okay.
That's where
I had
the
a really
best stuff comes
challenging.
from.
Yeah, I had a really challenging year a couple years ago, just personally, and I had a friend ask me like, "How do you manage to work?" You know, when you're feeling like that. And I was like, that's why I work, like, you know, because I was getting a lot done, you know. It was just like, because that's where I hide from it at. So it's there's something to be said for work that gets done in the middle of a crisis, you know.
For sure.
We talked about Ramita and what he turned out after 9/11 with that Spider-Man story, you know, like there's a lot of personal baggage wrapped up in that, and he turned it into just so
that always begs the question for me, like, do you need to be tortured to be a good artist, or can you are there actually some that are just happy and they're just really talented?
I think so. I don't think it's a prerequisite, but I think
hurt though.
I think it can help if you can if you can put it through the right channels, you know what I mean?
I think
channel properly, you know.
For character development, I mean, honestly, there's no characters just like so happy-go-lucky all the time. I don't know anybody like that. I mean, even like of all of my friends, even the ones I call like, you know, born with a silver spoon in their mouth, or the golden child, you know, they've had their things that they've had to go through. So I mean, it almost doesn't make sense that you have if you don't put a little bit of that into it, you know.
I know one person like that, and his name is Paul Chomo, because he just plays with animals all day long.
Yeah, he's a pretty happy guy. So there was the Captain Stern segment of the animated film Heavy Metal.
Yeah.
Based on a character created by Wrightson, first appearing in the June 1980 issue of Heavy Metal magazine. The Freak Show graphic novel, written by Bruce Jones and illustrated via pen, brush, and ink with watercolors by Wrightson, was published in Spain in '82 and serialized in Heavy Metal magazine in the early 1980s. I swear to God, I can't get away from Heavy Metal. We were just talking about.
Have you heard of the Heavy Metal comic book? I love that comic book.
Right? Is it the same thing? I mean,
the animated movie was based off this anthology series, but this is where I got exposed to a lot of amazing artists that you don't see in mainstream comics.
And boobs.
And lots of, that was the other reason, is that there was tons of nudity, and I'm like 13 years old, and I'm like, where do I get a subscription to this?
Heavy Metal, the only comic book you hid under your mattress. Like,
yeah. Oh, it's so great.
God, that's great. Well, I think like what I'd like to do with this show, guys, moving forward, and I kind of didn't put it in here, but I wanted to see what you guys would think about this. I kind of want you guys to give me like a homework assignment or something like that to like go read something or draw something or something like that, so that maybe I could present that the next time and say, okay, this is what I did for you guys. Because I always feel like, yeah, hey,
You want to do a book report?
Yeah, we're gonna have a book report, double spaced, one time. No,
Hey,
look, that's easy to do. Like if you have this list of artists,
right?
We will pick like one thing from their seminal work.
Okay.
And you can find that digitally or order it from Amazon or whatever, and get caught up on that. And I think that'll help because a lot of these guys have one thing that like everyone has read of them. Well,
and I think what might be good here is like out of this episode that we could possibly take away is obviously something from him. So, it would help, I'm thinking, for the listener and for people that are new to comics, like, okay, well, where do I get started? How do I know that I'm going to like this guy or whatever? So is there a specific, like, should I like maybe get Frankenstein or
that's what, I looked that up today. I was going to buy it, man. The hardcover, it's like $160 hardcover. Like this thing, it was published by Marvel 1983. 3 suggestions. One is the Frankenstein. Absolutely. Just if you like to look at art, you sit down, you get lost in these drawings. Unbelievable.
It's an art book. Yeah.
Yes, totally. It's a coffee table book. The second, though, if you can find Hooky, the Spider-Man graphic novel from 1986, that is great. And then the third is kind of based on what I'm drawing here. He did this one Batman story called The Cult. That's really good and kind of incorporated kind of some of his horror sensibilities in drawing Batman. And what I love about Bernie is you knew when he drew Batman because his ears would be ridiculously long. He would just draw these long ass ears that were in real life would not be useful at all.
Right.
But on the page, just sick, like a great design. So I kind of drew a Batman with really long ears a la Bernie Wrightson, but Cult, and that's only like a couple of issues. And then if you're really into the horror, definitely you check out Creepshow in some of the horror anthologies.
Awesome. All right. Well, I will definitely do that. Okay. So closing off the show, guys, show me what you got.
I'm impressed.
Oh, of course you are.
Show off.
All right. This is where you get to show me what you got, guys. Phil, let's start with you. What have you been drawing over there today?
I have a werewolf getting ready to piss on a fire hydrant. So I did this, and this is going to be my recommendation, is Cycle of the Werewolf by Stephen King, illustrated by Bernie Wrightson.
Okay.
A lot of people, I think it's kind of regarded as a lesser Stephen King novel. But I think it's mostly because it's almost like a pulp horror novel. It's not really as highbrow horror like Salem's Lot or It or anything like that, or The Shining. It's more pulpy and fun. The movie Silver Bullet was terrible.
Oh, Silver Bullet was based
artwork
off
by
of
Bernie.
That book.
Silver Bullet is from Cycle of the Werewolf. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But the artwork, it's an illustrated horror novel, and it's a lot of fun. And Bernie Wrightson's artwork is fantastic in it. It's one of those things that, again, in the last week, I've been thinking about picking it up again because I don't have that book anymore. But I remember having a lot of fun with it.
That's why the show's so great. I mean, it's neat to watch you guys kind of like show your influences a little bit, but also like your own art interpretation. Because Phil, you definitely have a style. Imran, you definitely have a style that's all your own. But to kind of watch you kind of come out a little bit and like pull a little bit of these other artists' influence in it, it's really, really neat. So very good drawing. Imran, and you were saying that you were doing this Batman with these ears.
Yeah, I just did a Batman headshot with Bernie Wrightson ears.
Okay.
But I love those ears.
Those ears are great. Like that would never work in real life. It would just slow you down. But man, if you're studying drawing and you want to learn line work from a master, all you got to do is just sit down with his work and copy it or do some of the cross hatching styles, the way he shades things and the positive and negative space. And that Frankenstein is like the most unique, tragic. Like you feel bad for this Frankenstein just looking at the drawings. You don't even have to read the book.
Everything looks sad and just that thing looks like a monster to itself. It just looks like a pathetic, godless creature.
Guys like Mike Mignola, Frank Miller, who used really heavy shadow, big black images in their artwork. This is all inspired by Bernie Wrightson, man. He's the guy who did it best.
Yeah, I agree. He's pretty amazing. It's sad that he didn't get a lot done because of, his illness in the past few years. So, kudos to him and rest in peace for sure. So we just want to thank you for watching and listening to Sketching Comedy on YouTube, or following along in your favorite podcatcher with our fellow artists, Phil Rude and Imran Javed. Subscribe, if you could, to our YouTube page at youtube.com/blazingcaribou. Watch us live every Wednesday at 8 Eastern. Like and subscribe to our Facebook page or Twitter at Sketching Comedy. We've had a great response with our Patreon, and thank you to Amy Zander for our newest Patreon, and Fish Nerds, also one of our newest Patreons.
Nice.
We are getting closer and closer to our first goal, so please head on over to patreon.com/blazingcaribou and sign up to get in on some cool stuff, monthly drawings, and hey, even illustrations from these guys, Imran and Phil.
You can get art from us.
Yeah, like for free, which is crazy because Phil charges an arm and a leg. So do
Just
that.
an arm.
Yeah, Imran charges the leg. It's cool.
I charge a spleen.
I want
your
you
spleen.
arm, though. Yeah.
So I'm kind of excited about next week. I already jumped the gun, and I decided
All right.
what we're doing because you guys have kind of decided before me. So I decided to grab a female because I want to know who these people are. So next week, we get to talk about Fiona Staples, and her badass comic series, Saga, is a reason enough to get on board with her work. It's a blend of sci-fi and fantasy starring star-crossed lovers from different worlds. She's also done the illustrations for a number of graphic novels, including 2010's North 40, a Western-style fantasy, Phil.
Yay! I'm going to check that out.
Yeehaw!
Yeah, wait, where's my yeehaw?
Where is it? I know you got it.
I got it in there.
Oh, that one stung. That one stung a little. Ow.
That's going to leave a mark.
And guys, with that, our show comes to a draw. I've been your host, Carrie Sims, along with Phil and Imran. Thank you so much. We'll sketch you guys next week on Sketching Comedy.
I'm impressed.
Oh, of course you are.
Show off.
It's still kind of funny, though. Here we go. I'm going to leave it. It's funny shit. Here we go. Where's the button?
You've been listening to a Blazing Caribou Studios production. Support and subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/Blazing Caribou Studios.
Yahoo! I'm Batman.
That looks awesome, man.
That one worked out really well, guys.
That was fun.
About 40 minutes.